Okay, oops. So technically this is like my second video today. I don't know if I'll post it right away. Probably not. I'll wait a couple days and then maybe I'll forget and then it'll be a couple months from now. But I had more things to say. And it is that I don't know how much I always try to give context before explaining, but then I back up so much. I have my little collection on Instagram of oldest daughter stuff. And I was going through it last night because I missed my brother. That's a whole situation. But I missed my brother. He has said 2 words to me. I've seen him in person for 3 seconds in the past month, right? This is the longest we've ever been apart. Right? Aside from the 11 months that I existed before he was born and the 2 months I existed before he was conceived. We spent a week apart when I was on a school trip. 11 days when he was institutionalized. And now it's literally been 3.5 weeks. And we have never spent this much time apart before. And it's you spent so much time apart from someone, you forget how bad it was, right? I used to fight with my brother all the time. We used to say the worst things ever imagined to each other. If you guys have a sibling, obviously, you have wished death upon them before. You have literally beat them with your own hands. And I'm not gonna go as far as to say I love my brother publicly. I would never say that, but I am kind of acknowledging the fact that we have spent a considerable amount of time apart from each other as of recently. And so I was really sad. I just hated my whole life last night, right? It was 3 a.m. and then when I get really upset like that, I go through my little album on Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is, and I just cry for a bit. And I was going through my oldest daughter collection on Instagram, and I realized that it's all about older sister, younger brother stuff. So then it was just all videos about younger brothers, that trend, older sisters, biggest heartbreak. And it's video of her brother when he was a baby, and then it's him all grown up. And I was no, because he was such a cute baby. My brother was literally blonde. Well, okay, he was bald when he was born, but he was such a cutie patootie when he was younger elementary school, right? He was blonde and then his hair turned brown, right? At the end of elementary school, he had long hair too, and then middle school, and then he hit high school. He was a little shit. And then, right, in the past couple years, right, he's vaping and smoking and drinking and everything. Jail. And just right, he's going through his bad boy phase, but without the leather jacket and girls wanting him, as far as I know, at least. And so I just was also on Instagram today. And I have, right, I get all of the eldest daughter trend stuff on my Instagram For You page, right? I know all of the I know what being the eldest daughter is, of course, right? Being the parent and stuff like that. And I feel I only there's a space between me and everybody, all the other eldest daughters on Instagram. I feel I can never 100% identify with them because there's always something that doesn't line up, right? It's an eldest daughter Instagram reel, but she's an eldest daughter to more than one sibling. Or she has a younger sister, not a younger brother. And nobody fits my exact situation. And that's the point. Obviously, nobody's gonna have the exact same situation as you, but it kind of pisses me off sometimes. I can't even identify with someone on the internet. You're supposed to relate to someone on the internet. There's gonna be somebody out there, right? The not one single original experience. Well, for me it is, I guess. Because if I do find someone who just has a younger brother, they're much younger. Me, my brother's only 11 months younger than me, basically a year. So it's not right, I really watched him grow up, or I remember him as a baby. We grew up together. So then it's kind of I can almost relate more to the twin brother TikToks, but being an older sister. Or it's something where, you know, yeah, you have a slightly younger brother, but you have both parents. No, our parents are divorced. And they were divorced when we were really young. Or one that I saw that kind of triggered this video was about the eldest daughter having to be the mother, but when the parents are still together, right? Or like the dad saying like, I'm the, you know, I don't want a parent, and the mother being like, nobody notices what I do. Or there was like this one that had a poem about like that, and it was like, I don't know, I felt it was kind of cringe, but only because it's emotional and I'm not emotional in public. And it was something about like the oldest daughter shields everyone from her father's anger. Okay, sure, my dad has anger issues, right? Like I've been that type of older sister to take on everything from the angry father, not even really by choice. But then it's like, and wipes her mother's tears. No, I don't have the older sister situation where my dad beats my mom. He just beats me. Yeah. And my brother. Yeah. And so I guess I feel kind of like a disappointment. I'm the disappointment of the older sister Instagram group chat. Like, I don't actually know how to be the oldest sister that is the mother, because I don't like have a mother basically in my mind. Like, yes, okay, whatever. I talk to my mom on the phone a couple times a week, right? Like, my parents are divorced, not dead, but my mother was never a good mother. And I had a couple other family members that stepped up to be that parental person, but like, yeah, my aunt, like, I basically considered her my mother at one point, but I still, once I spent so much time, once that phase of my life was over, right? Like, once my aunt was like not able to take care of us every day, like we moved, right? And it's not as in like my dad purposefully isolated us so that he could beat us every day, but like that's just what ended up happening. Once that phase of my life where I was strongly connected to a mother figure ended, like my dad just ended up doing so much damage, right? Like, I stopped having a consistent motherly figure by the time I was like 11, 12, and I am 18 now. So over the course of, right, the entirety of middle school, the entirety of high school, I didn't have a good motherly figure. And teachers can only do so much, okay? If, right, I had the guts to form connections with my teachers, and they were female teachers, and we had it, right? Like, so many things would have happened for me to genuinely fix that situation. And that's not even the teacher's job. That's not like my point though. I didn't know how to be a mother, right? So I don't fit that archetype of the oldest sister who had to be a mother. And obviously I'm not the oldest sister who had to be a father, because it's not like we're living with a single mom, we're living with a single dad, and my dad already is there. And no, he wasn't a good dad, but he was the most masculine person I had in my life. So I didn't feel the need to be a dad. So I was kind of like acting like a parent towards my brother, but not either of those parents. Maybe a mix of both or neither. I was like a non-binary parent. I felt though, so then you could argue like maybe you were just an older sister, an older sibling. Maybe you did act more than as a sibling than a parent. But no, because I felt like because I had to take on so much more responsibility. Like, I was treated as an adult whenever my dad wanted to, right? Every other argument we had, maybe even in the same one, at the beginning he was like, you're acting like such a child. You are only a child. Don't tell me what to do. I'm the adult. And then by the end of the conversation argument, he'd be like, you're going to be an adult soon. You're 15 years old and you're acting like this. You're 16 years old and you're acting this. You're 17 years old and you're acting like this. And luckily I ran away before he was able to say you're 18, but all the conversations were about my age. You're almost 18 fucking years old and you're acting like this. I was basically an adult. Like, for the most part, I was treated like an adult by the time I was like 12, 13, right? Because we didn't have anyone else taking care of us or any other adults in our lives, right? Like, when it wasn't like a big deal. Like, it wasn't like we moved across the country, but like me moving, my family moving, right? My brother and my dad and me, that was our family. Had such an impact on me. like, I had a lot of problems as a kid. My family had a lot of problems. So for me, like, we moved like from like 4th grade to 5th grade, right? So when I started 5th grade, it was a whole new elementary school. And then I had to go to a middle school, which my old town had a junior high, so I was supposed to stay, right? So it was like, now I'm going from a new school to another new school, and it wasn't the same people because I went to the wrong elementary school. And then I had to go to high school, and some of these people knew each other from elementary, and us moving just had such a deep impact. And it wasn't right, like I said, like, we didn't move across the country. We moved like an hour away. That was an hour away from everybody I knew. I was the only people I knew were my dad and my brother. That's not great. That's nothing to brag about. In a 60-mile radius. And for an 11-year-old, it was really far. That was huge for me. And that's all I knew. Until, like, literally right now. Like, I only had my dad and my brother. I couldn't go to my aunt and uncles whenever I wanted to. Not that I could in the first place, but, like, nobody was 10 minutes away and coming to save me. And shit happened. So, okay, hold on. So I was trying to make a point, but I'm kind of just ranting, but that's what my channel's about. Like, I genuinely just start the video. I don't have, like, conclusions or anything like that. So I don't fit any of the situations I see on Instagram. And maybe that's what I'm there for. Maybe I'm supposed to be the person that starts that, right? So other people can relate to me, right? Be the change you wish to see in the world. Yeah, okay. But I still feel so isolated from everybody. And I know they're just strangers on the internet, but if we have learned anything from the internet at all in the past couple years, is that you can, like, people on the internet know your exact situation. One video can literally change your life. And all these videos about being an older sister, an eldest sister, an eldest daughter, I can't find one that fits my exact situation. So my collection is all different things. And it's the same way with, like, music too. Like, I have a lot of Spotify playlists, but I have a Spotify playlist just that's, like, really, really sad in general. Because if I break it down into every type of situation, then I'd only have one song per playlist. And I have a separate playlist about my dad, I guess. But then it's, like, kind of weird. Like, no, like, only this part of the song describes my relationship with my father, not the part about being in love with him. This is why the playlist is only for me, because, like, I understand in my perspective of the song that this song to me is about, like, the song in general is about, like, loving somebody or something happens. And for a lot of people, it's like an ex-boyfriend. But for me, it's like, this is my relationship with my dad, not an ex-boyfriend. They're not the same thing. It's, trust me, it's not like that, and it never was. But I can't find a single song that relates to my situation. And again, maybe that's what I'm here for. Maybe I'm supposed to make a song that can relate to that exact situation. That's not gonna happen, guys. I'm not gonna make a song about a relationship with my father. That's not my job. That's not my job on this planet. So I can't, all the songs I have is about, originally meant for, like, an ex-boyfriend, ex-lover, a friend, and I have to, like, twist it in my mind to, in my perspective, make it about, like, my brother or my dad, right? Like, oh, you hurt me so bad and that's why we broke up. Or, like, a good example of this is A Better Man by Taylor Swift. It's, for her and a lot of people, it's about, like, it's an ex-boyfriend, a guy. For me, it's about my dad. And I can't just tell this to anybody, because they're gonna be like, you dated your dad? You have this relationship with your father? No. No, I don't. It's about literally, I just miss you. I miss the way when you used to be a good person and a good father. And I just wish you were a better man. It's actually pretty simple. The song is actually pretty straightforward. I know why we had to leave, like the back of my hand, something like that. I know why I had to leave. Oh, you never thought I'd run? That part I really relate to. Because when I first really got into Red and that song, right, I was like 15, 16 years old, and I was already planning my escape. Well, I'm not gonna lie, I've always been planning my escape, right? I was 12 years old, and I was genuinely chit-chatting it up with a AI lawyer about how to emancipate myself. And I had those documents on a PDF on my school Chromebook and everything about how to literally run away. Like, it's just, that song I really identify with. And a lot of songs I really identify with, but just not the same as other people. And I know that's the point of music, because everybody sees it a different way. But like me, I really have to see it a different way. Right. So I think I strayed from my original point, but it was that I was just feeling very lonely last night. And it came back to bite me in the butt just now when I was on Instagram watching all these older sister videos, because I was like, no, I'm not a very older sister. No, I don't have both parents. No, I don't have just a mom. And just like, even currently, like, I just feel so isolated from everybody. Like, I feel kind of like in a pity party kind of way, like nobody will ever understand me. Like, obviously no one in my family, immediate or extended, will understand me because they weren't in my situation. And obviously my problem is with my brother or my dad, so obviously they're the problems. They're not going to understand anything ever. And like, okay, for a while I identified with my aunt, who was that like maternal figure for a really long time that I was talking about earlier. But like she was the oldest sister, the oldest sibling out of 5, right? She was this many years, she was 12 years apart from the youngest sibling. She was the parent, right? Like, she is the person I basically identified with the most. But the person that she is now, I think it's just like older sisters clashing. And like, I'm just a different, like, we're just different people, and we clash a lot. And other stuff has happened where I see her in a different light, and I'm just distancing myself on purpose because it's just becoming too toxic. Not that toxic, but just too toxic. And so, like, as a woman, as an older sister, like, obviously I will never identify with any man in my family. My uncle, my other uncle, my other uncle. That's it, actually. And I don't have more brothers. And so, right, like, that's what friends are for, right? And I have plenty of friends that are older sisters to other sisters, or my best friend, right? Like, she understands me most of all, especially the oldest sister part. She's the oldest of 5, right? Kind of like my aunt, and she has 2 younger brothers. And like, we do understand each other in our situations on a huge level. But then again, all of like the worst stuff we've been through, we haven't been physically there, right? We weren't in the room where it happened, because we were going through our own shit, right? In middle school, I don't want to spill the beans, but like in middle school, when she was getting physically abused, I couldn't be there physically for her, right? I wasn't ever at her house. I never saw these things happen, because first of all, obviously that's not how abuse behind closed doors work, but it's because I was physically also getting beaten and dealing with my own shit. So we just have to go to school the next day and tell each other about it. So the poor people on the bus, probably traumatized. And like, obviously, like I said, we can just relate to each other so much on that level because of how fucked up our lives have been, and how toxic our families are, and how much we hate everybody except each other. But there will always be something. I will never understand what it's like to be in charge of 4 kids, or to always fight with my sister, or both of my sisters. She has 2 younger sisters. I don't have any sisters. I wish I had an older sister. I obviously don't wish for another younger sibling. Clearly, I can't even handle one. I won't know what that's like. And she is a single mom, not a single dad. I'll never understand what it's like to be in that situation. And she'll never know what it's like to have a single dad or a younger brother that's so close in age, where you grew up with them instead of growing up for 10 years without them. Right? Like, there's just some things that we will never understand the situation. We'll understand each other's feelings, maybe without realizing it. But, I mean, it's not like it's causing a wedge between us, but, like, I feel like my situation, if we're being selfish and talking about myself because it's my life and my video and my YouTube channel and my opinion, I feel like just nobody will ever understand me. And at this point, I just don't always feel like explaining it. Like, I'm tired of trying to explain to my family members. So there will always be a huge gap in that. I can't always explain it all to my friends because there's always something else, right? I have a friend who listens really well, but she's the youngest. I have a friend that would listen really well, but she has a lot of money. I have a friend that would listen really well, but. And it's just some of those things where I'm always constantly thinking about. Like, oh, my friend blank, right? She is a great listener. The one that's, but she's the youngest. And I'm always thinking about that when I'm talking to her. Like, if I was venting to her about that, like my situation, she would have so much grace and so much compassion for me, but she wouldn't understand what it's like to be the oldest. Yes, she would understand what it's like to have a bad relationship with your parent, but it would be her mother, not her father. And she wouldn't understand what it's like to be in charge of a younger brother or that situation. Or my other friend, she has a younger sister, very close in age, just like me and my brother. So we have a lot of similarities, but part of me venting about my situation is that I don't have my family is poor. And she will never have to worry about money, if you know what I mean. And it's not that I genuinely, like, hate these people. It's just something that I always am thinking about, whether I like it or not, when I have to vent. Like, I love these girls, but there's gonna be a gap in us talking. So I just feel, like, so isolated a lot of the time, especially, like, legitimately right now, I'm by myself, right? I have my aunt and my uncle sleeping in a bed 2 doors down, but I'm all alone in this bed that's too big for me. Slept, like, it's the small things. I've slept, like, I was crying last night because I have my bed at home. This isn't my home. I don't even think I have a home anymore, but my home in Belvedere, I have a twin bed. This is a freaking queen. It's too much room. I can't sleep. I'm used to sleeping, over the weekend, not for 3 weeks. My room, the walls are pink. I hate that they're pink, and I hate pink, but they're pink, and I only have one nightstand, not two, and my mirror's not over there, and my door's on the other side, and there's no radio. And it's not my room, and I felt so isolated last night. Like, my brother's room where he usually stays is on the other side of that wall, and at home my brother's room is on the other side of the stairs. And my brother's always there. Like, again, I have never been apart from my brother for more than a week, and now it's 3 weeks. And I'm an adult, and I chose to leave my home. Legitimately, the life that I knew. I had a bed, I had food, and it was warm. I had warm food. I had a guaranteed dinner every night. I had people just there, right? If you just need someone to exist around you to feel okay. I had people that existed. They hate me, but they existed. And I had all my things. When I left my home, I had a backpack. I had a few outfits. I slept in a public bathroom. for 2-3 nights in a row because I would rather do that than be hated for another second. I had been planning to leave since the beginning of my senior year. It was the beginning of my senior year. I said, I am so close to being 18. My birthday is in May. And so it became, I need to leave by winter break. Can't do that. I wouldn't have been 18. My dad would have reported me missing. We've been through this with my brother. I would have been returned back, and he probably would have legitimately beat my ass. And then never actually talked about it because my dad doesn't confront people like that in that type of situation. So then it was, I legitimately have to wait this out until I'm 18. And then it was, I want to go to my aunt and uncle's, but I don't want them to get in trouble with my dad for taking me in. So, and then it got messed up because I spent the weekend with them, and it would have been like too easy for my dad to know that I was with them. So I turned 18 and I had to stay another week. And I was counting down the days. And then it was the night before graduation. And I packed my fucking bag. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I was just like, I'm not going home after graduation. I'm just not going home after graduation. I had about 40 pairs of socks, 3 shirts, 1 pair of shorts, and my toothbrush. And I put it in my backpack. And I was like, I don't know where I'm going, but I know it's not home. And I had all the stuff. I was leaving comfortable, whatever I was comfortable with. I was leaving my bedroom. Who knew what was going to happen in my bedroom? I was leaving my books, my instrument, my school things. And then I just didn't go home after graduation. I graduated. I had dinner with my other family, not my dad and my brother. And then they dropped me off at my house and they left, and I didn't go inside, and I walked the opposite direction, and I spent the night sleeping in a public bathroom with the door locked. Ants crawling around me, a spider in the corner. I used a plastic bag and a t-shirt I decided not to care about on the floor of the public bathroom. And I used my arm as a pillow. And I woke up about 10 times that night. I said, ooh, I must have slept for a long time. My phone was dead, but I still was able to turn it back on. Oh, it must be like, what? Almost morning. It's 10 a.m. I mean, it's 10 p.m. It's been 30 minutes. You slept for 30 minutes. I didn't have a bed. I didn't have my blanket. It was cold, by the way. And you're like, why didn't you just go home? Like, okay, maybe you would have been able to convince your dad you had sleepover with your best friend, and he would have been pissed at you, but you could go back and sleep in a bed. And then he would have yelled at me because I didn't check with him. And now I have to do the dishes, and I have to do my weekend chores, and this and that, and you're stupid, and you're a loser, and I don't know why any college has accepted you because you're so stupid. You have no critical thinking skills, and you're fucking ugly, in case nobody told you, and also it's your fault your brother's acting this way. It's your fault your brother's going through a phase. It's your fault your brother wants to kill himself. It's your fault your mother left. You also have to talk to your mother, by the way. I don't know how you even graduated because you're horrible at school, and you're also stupid, in case nobody told you that. And I actually get to go through that 3 times a day? No. You guys, again, don't know what I went through my entire life. I cannot go back. I cannot go back to that house and live with my dad ever again. I genuinely can't. This is like, what I'm explaining right now, the closest thing maybe you guys can understand is if you've ever watched the show Shameless. Believe it or not, I'm not gonna make a reference to Fiona and everything, but you could say that too. I'm Mickey, living with his dad, who's my dad. Not we're Russian immigrants, but like my dad hates everyone and everything. And he has his good moments, but he has a lot of bad moments. And we kind of hate him. And I'm finally able to escape. And if I go back, it would be a bad situation, but it's not as bad as it could be, right? I read those books where these people get locked in their basement from the age of 3 and literally get beaten and pissed on. I've read those horror stories, those memoirs about these people genuinely being abused. What? I can't say that I've been abused because I wasn't chained up, locked away? Okay. But I couldn't close my bedroom door. My bedroom door didn't have a handle. But I couldn't close the door when I used the bathroom. But I couldn't spend more than this amount of time eating something. I couldn't spend more than this amount of time vacuuming. I couldn't spend this amount of time being late from school. I couldn't exist. I couldn't do something. I didn't join any extracurriculars, any sports in high school until my sophomore year because I didn't realize I could. My sophomore year of high school, I realized I want to do a sport really, really bad. And up until then, it's always just, I wish I could. And then I realized, why don't I try? And so I spent 2 hours convincing my dad that night to let me do swimming. And at 11:58 p.m., he registered me for swimming. And then the next week, I walked into the YMCA and I knew nobody. I knew one of the coaches because she was my freaking homeroom teacher that I saw every couple of weeks. I knew nobody. I was not good, but I loved swimming and I loved it more than anything. And then I decided, what if I try this again? And I joined a club and I joined another club. And then it was junior year and I joined another club.